All right, let's talk creatine. It's one of the most effective supplements on the planet for building muscle and strength. But here's the thing. It only really works if you're doing it right. So many people are making these simple, common mistakes that don't just waste money, they can actually cause problems. So today, we're going to break down exactly what not to do.
I mean, really think about it. You're buying this stuff, hoping for those gains. But what if a few little mistakes you don't even know you're making are basically turning that tub of creatine into, well, expensive dust? We're going to make sure every single scoop you take is actually pushing you towards your goals.
So, we've broken this down into 4 parts. First up, we'll cover the foundation, the stuff you got to know before you even start. Then, we'll get into the daily ritual, those habits you need to lock in. After that, we'll refine things to really maximize your gains. And finally, a little reality check on what to expect and how to fix any issues.
Okay, let's jump into section 1, the foundation. Seriously, getting this part right from the get-go is everything. Your success with creatine starts way before you take that first scoop.
Think of this as your pre-launch checklist. It's just 3 simple steps, but trust me, they're absolutely crucial for making sure what you're doing is both safe and actually gonna work. Look, this is about as blunt as it gets, and for good reason. With creatine, quality isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a must-have. Cheaper, low-quality stuff can be filled with contaminants, things like heavy metals that can mess with your stomach or worse. It is just not worth risking your health to save a few bucks.
Okay, so you're standing in the aisle looking at all these different tubs. Which one do you grab? For 99% of us, creatine monohydrate is the answer. It's been studied the most, it's proven to work, and it's the most affordable. Yeah, you'll see other fancy forms like HCl or ethyl ester that claim better absorption, but honestly, monohydrate is the gold standard for a reason.
And let's be crystal clear about this. Talking to a doctor isn't just some casual tip. It's a critical safety step. Creatine is processed through your kidneys, so if you have any history of kidney, liver, or heart problems, taking it without a doctor's okay could put some serious strain on your system. A quick chat can save you from major problems down the line.
All right, on to section 2. We've got our foundation solid. Now let's dive into the simple, everyday habits that will literally make or break your results.
If you only remember one thing from this whole explainer, please make it this. Taking creatine on an empty stomach is probably the #1 mistake people make, and it's a direct invitation for stomach pain and nausea.
And here's why. It's all about comfort and results. First, the food acts like a buffer, which just helps your stomach handle it better. But second, and this is the real game changer, carbs spike your insulin. Think of insulin as a key that unlocks your muscle cells, letting the creatine rush right in. So having it with some juice or fruit isn't just about feeling good, it's about making sure your muscles get every last bit of that creatine.
So let's get into the science just for a second, because it explains why you need to drink so much water. Creatine works by increasing something called phosphocreatine in your muscles. This lets you produce ATP, which is basically instant fuel for explosive movements, but that whole process pulls water into your muscles. If you're not drinking enough, you're short-circuiting the whole effect and putting a ton of stress on your kidneys. This one seems so obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people miss it. Creatine is not like a pre-workout you just take before the gym. For it to work, it has to build up and fully saturate your muscles, and that means you have to take it every single day. Rest days included, no excuses.
Think of your muscles like a bucket you're trying to keep full. Every daily dose keeps that bucket topped up. The minute you start skipping days, the level starts to drop, and you lose that edge. In fact, a study showed that athletes who kept taking creatine even during a month-long break from training held on to more strength than the ones who stopped. So consistency is literally protecting your gains.
All right, let's kick it up a notch with section 3, the refinement. You've got the basics dialed in. Now let's get into the details, like dosage and timing, that will help you squeeze every last bit of potential out of this stuff.
You know, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, if a little is good, then a lot must be better. That is just not how creatine works. Your body can only absorb so much. It has a saturation point. Taking extra doesn't get you results faster, it just gives your kidneys more work to do and can lead to side effects like cramping. Stick to the recommended dose.
People love to overthink this one. Morning, pre-workout, post-workout? Honestly, the science is pretty clear. It doesn't really matter. The most important thing is just taking it consistently, every single day. The goal is to keep those muscles saturated over the long haul, not to nail some perfect 30-minute window. So just pick a time that works for you and stick with it.
This is so fundamental. Creatine doesn't magically build muscle on its own. Your training builds muscle. Creatine is the tool that helps you train harder, to get that one extra rep, to lift a little heavier. If you're not putting in the work, the creatine has nothing to enhance. It's like putting rocket fuel in a car that's just sitting in the garage.
You can't out-supplement a bad diet. Simple as that. Your diet and your creatine have to work as a team. We already know carbs help get creatine into your muscles, and studies totally back that up. And at the same time, protein is providing the actual building blocks your body needs for muscle repair and growth. It's a powerful combo. Okay, and that brings us to our final section, the reality check. This is where we talk about patience, listening to your body, and knowing what to do if things aren't going quite right.
Look, creatine is not an overnight miracle. It takes time to work. Most people will start to feel a real, noticeable difference in their strength and performance in about 2 to 4 weeks. So you've got to be patient, trust the process, and give it time to do its job.
This is huge. Anytime you introduce something new to your system, your body is going to give you feedback. Side effects aren't just something to ignore. They're signals. They're your body's way of telling you something's up. And you have to listen.
So here are the main red flags to watch for. If you're getting constant stomach issues, cramping, or especially any signs that your kidneys might be unhappy, like unusual swelling or fatigue, the plan is simple. Don't try to power through it. Just stop taking it and go talk to a doctor. It's that easy.
So if we boil this entire thing down to one single thought, let it be this one. Creatine itself isn't what builds the muscle. The hard work, the sweat, the effort in the gym, that's what builds muscle. Creatine is the catalyst that just lets you work harder. You are still the engine.
And that leaves us with one final question for you. Now that you know exactly how to use creatine the right way, your supplement game is on point. So the real question is your training program tough enough to actually take advantage of that extra strength and energy you're about to have?